Hello, attendees. Come on in and welcome to our Take a Virtual Vacation. And those of you that are just coming in, if you want to share in the chat box where you're from, that would be great while we just hang tight for a few minutes here while people pop on the line. I'm Candace Stearns, for those of you who are here for the first time, and those of you who are returning, welcome back. So it looks like we have Michelle from Maryland. Nice to see you again, Michelle. Looks like Mark is from Maryland too, and Sarah. Hi, Sarah from Ottawa. And Sue, nice to see you.
You'll need an app for me to help with that. Try searching.
Uh-oh, my Siri is chatting back to me. Okay, I am going to share my screen. And we are going to get started. So again, welcome everyone, and welcome to the Take a Virtual Vacation series. This Tuesday, we are going to the Maldives. And those of you that were with us last week, we did get rescheduled Germany. So we will be going to Germany from the reschedule at the end of November, when we had a little hiccup with our schedule. What is Take a Virtual Vacation and who are we? Well, we are a group of travel advisors who got together at the beginning of the pandemic, back in April actually. And because we were all in lockdown mode, we decided we didn't want to dwell on the negative. We wanted to look forward to the positive, and being travel advisors and true travel lovers ourselves, we decided to start a Facebook group and also some meetup groups on the internet so that we could share our love of travel with everyone else, and also have an opportunity to go to different destinations via the internet. So even if we couldn't hop on a plane, we thought, well, let's go to it virtually. So that's how Take a Virtual Vacation began. And we've been holding them pretty much every Tuesday ever since April. We will be making some changes to the format at the first of the year. We'll be having virtual vacations every 2 weeks. And we will be mixing in some interactive things for you guys to do. So we'll have some wine tastings and some cooking and different kinds of things like that. So hopefully it'll be fun and more interactive when we get to the new year in 2021. We'll also be holding some come with me vacation itineraries. So if anyone wants to travel as a group and get to know the other members of the group, we're going to have some opportunities for that as well. So Maria Stephanopoulos from Ingenious Travel, my buddy from Greater Tampa Bay area, hasn't been on the last couple of times, but she will be here next week. Susan Schaefer from Ships and Trips Travel. Susan's in Middle Tennessee. Barbara Oliver from All Together Now Travel. And Gail Sherman from Wine Lovers Travel. They're both West Coast travel advisors in the San Diego and Napa Valley area. Myself, and then Angela Urshwood, who is new to our group from Olive and Atlas Travel Design. And Angela is in Lake County, Wisconsin, Milwaukee-ish area. Where can you find a lot of the previous recordings of these Take a Virtual Vacations? You can do that on our Facebook page. take a virtual vacation on our YouTube channel. And then we also have our meetup groups. And so I think a lot of you this evening might actually be from one of our meetup groups. And when we are able to get back into a restaurant and have more than 4 people at a table, in fact, in Michigan, unfortunately, we aren't able to eat indoors right now at all. But when we can, I will be hosting a meetup group in Detroit. We have Susan, who again will be doing that in Middle Tennessee, Angela in Lake County and Wisconsin, and then also Maria in Greater Tampa Bay. So that being said, we're going to jump into the presentation. So just give me a second because I'm double dutying here this evening. For those of you who don't know, we normally have a tourism board person or someone from the actual destination hop on. But because I was in the Maldives the end of October, beginning of November timeframe, I actually specialize in the Maldives area and Seychelles, Sri Lanka. And so this evening, we're going to have my presentation so that you can see what we have there. So if I can just have somebody put in the chat that they can see my current screen. I just want to make sure it flipped over. So anybody want to pop in for me? Let me see. I'm just making sure. I got to click over. So bear with me. All right. Hopefully. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. Uh-oh. I'll get it here. Just hang tight. All right. Can you see it now? I know we had some stuff that said it was distorted. Nope, you can't see it. Okay, let's try again. Share is paused. Let me do a new share. There we go. Now, how's that? Can we see it? Yay! Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Like I said, I normally, one of us does one part and one of us does another. So when I have to do them both, it's a little challenging. So here we go. So let's get started. We are going to take a look at the Maldives. And for those of you who are not familiar with where the Maldives are, but know where Tahiti is, I like to discuss both of them together, especially when we're discussing warm climates and overwater bungalows, because a lot of people think of Tahiti or the French Polynesian, Bora Bora, when they think of overwater bungalows. But the other place in the world that has wonderful climate and wonderful weather and the overwater bungalows is the Maldives. So that's what you see here. This is the Indian Ocean area, and then Tahiti is more on the South Pacific side. So the Maldives are in the Indian Ocean and Tahiti is in the South Pacific. So let's go forward. This is one of the most beautiful, breathtaking pictures that you see behind me as well. And the Maldives has tons and tons of options for you when it comes to overwater bungalows. Like Tahiti, the Maldives are not a budget destination. Even the resorts in the 4-star category would be considered a 5-star resort in other parts of the world. So it's not a budget destination, but it's definitely a wonderful place for anyone who is looking for that bucket list trip with family, multi-generational groups, or romance if you're looking for a celebration of an anniversary, or even some type of honeymoon for people that have recently gotten married. Because we have had almost an entire year of lockdown, I think a lot of people are itching to go somewhere, and the Maldives um, definitely is going to deliver an over the top luxury experience for you. So, a lot of people are looking for ways to get out of where they're at, and they want to know where in the world destinations are open right now. And just like the French Polynesian and Tahiti, the Maldives opened up for travelers to return in the beginning of September. And so they've been taking reservations and have been open since the September timeframe. Considering that we've had a year of lockdown and people have been on their bean bags and couches and comforts of their home, I think we are all in agreement that it's definitely time to think about a vacation. So of course, if you're looking to celebrate a wedding, like I mentioned, or a honeymoon or an anniversary, the Maldives is a top choice. If you didn't have a large wedding this year, for example, or you missed out on your anniversary, this would be a perfect way to celebrate, is by going to the Maldives. Also, those of you that are in the essential workers category definitely deserve a break for rest and relaxation. We appreciate all that the essential workers have done. And I think it's a perfect time for you to start planning and thinking about what type of vacations you're going to take next year. And last but not least, I am one of those exhausted parents working and quote unquote homeschooling as we do now with virtual vacations and online school where we have both things going. We definitely have done a lot of multitasking, and we're just in need of a break. And so planning a trip to the Maldives or the French Polynesian or Tahiti is probably on the top of someone's list. So we wanted to just mention that. It's also a wonderful place for multi-generational trips to celebrate being together again. And because the Maldives are located on little individual islands, it's very secluded, so that once you're in the island, it's just you and the staff that's on the island, and you and your other guests. And so most of the islands have very small numbers of guests on each of them, and it's a great way to be in your own bubble, so to speak. So as I mentioned, the Maldives are open now, and they opened in September, and they have a world-class protocol that they use in order for you to come into the country. So they do require a PCR negative test as of right now. Of course, all things can change, and it's best to work with a travel advisor to find out exactly what the rules are, what the immigration forms that have to be filled out or things like that need to be. But they are open, and they're very easy to plan ahead, and you get 96 hours in order to get your current testing right now, so it's not as stressful as some of the other destinations where you have to have your test within 72 hours of boarding a plane. Where is the Maldives? As I mentioned, the Maldives are southwest of India and Sri Lanka, and it's an archipelago consisting of roughly 1,192 coral reef islands. And out of all those islands, there's only 130 of the islands that are inhabited, and most are home to only one resort, as I mentioned. So that creates a very private island feel for you and your loved ones when you're visiting. The country makes up about 26 atolls, which are the bigger islands that connect and form the crescent shape of a semicircle. And so the atolls are a little larger and form like that crescent moon look. The Maldives describe their country as a sprinkling of the shimmering pearls adorned among a sparkling Indian Ocean. And as you can see there, one of the things I tell everybody when you fly in over the Maldives to land at Bali, when you look down, it almost has this look of a aquamarine gem. If you've ever seen, a stone, that aquamarine stone, as you can see here, it's absolutely breathtaking and stunning. And as you're flying in 30,000 feet, you get aerial views like this on your way in. So it's just stunning. Getting to Mali, right now, the easiest way to get there is through Doha with Qatar Airways. Doha is in Qatar, so it's through the Middle East. And the particular airline that we flew here is rated at number one of the number one airlines currently in the sky. And they have just a wonderful safety protocol. As you can see here in the screen, Chris and I have not only face shields, but the masks on as well. And they are very much dressed in a way with gloves and face shields and all those kinds of things. So we felt very safe when we were boarding the plane and while we were on the plane. As you can see here, the way to get there from the United States and the way that we got there was through Chicago. We took a flight from Detroit to Chicago because Chicago is a hub for Qatar Airways. And then we again flew halfway around the world to Doha. And then from Doha, it's another 4.5 hours from Doha to Mali. And as I mentioned, Qatar Airways is one of the safest airways in the air right now. They have over 56 weekly flights currently flying all over from the US to other countries like, well, they're not going to Europe right now, but they're going to Emirates, they're going to South Africa, they're going to, of course, Mali, and all different parts of the world down into South America, Chile, Brazil, and those areas as well. And these are the major hubs that you would use if you're going to fly Qatar Airways. As you can see, they also have the safety shields for the kids, and that's what you see here in this little picture over here where they have a little camel and the face shield for the children as well. What type of documentation do you need in order to get to Mali? Basically right now, besides the PCR COVID-19 negative test within 96 hours of your boarding of the flight, you also will have to fill out some immigration forms when you land. Because of the COVID situation and the fact that they're trying to keep everyone safe and in an area where they can contain you, you do not have to quarantine. But when you get there, you do have to go directly from the capital here in the airport to your resort hotel. So you'll do that either through transiting through a seaplane or on a speedboat, and you won't be allowed to transit from one island to the other, unfortunately, right now because of the COVID situation. Um, but you will be able to obviously do activities and things while you're on your current resort. And all the resorts in the Maldives have multiple marine life, snorkeling, beautiful uh, deep sea dives and things that you can go on, as well as any other water type activity sports. One of the things about the culture of the Maldivian people is that it's a really a mixture. The language is known as Maldivian or Davari, and it's a language that's spoken specifically in the Maldives, and it's a mixture of several different cultures. The mixture of cultures are things like Indian, Sri Lankan, Malaysian, Persian, Arab, Indonesia, and even African cultures. And the Maldivian people are just some of the nicest, most generous, very servant driven type people. And we just had a ball when we were there. Some of the best times to go to the Maldives, I'm often asked that question too, would be between January and April. That's the dry season with little to no rain and very little humidity. The tropical average temperature in Fahrenheit is usually between 84 and 88 degrees at that time. In May through September is known as their wet season, with an average temperature between 77 and 84 degrees. And rain is much more likely during that rainy season. And there are some storms, but they move through pretty quickly. We were there in October, which is just at the end of their wet season before they get into the high season, which is drier. And we did have a day or two of rain, but the rain would come in and then it would leave relatively quickly. So it was always bright in the afternoon or the morning, and the rain came and went within a few hours. October and November are also the best times of the year to see the famous whale shark that's known to be in that area during the October and November months. And we did actually see uh, a mother with her calf on one of the it was actually the dolphin cruise that we went on. So I'm going to share with you some of my own personal pictures, and then I'm also going to share some videos with you guys. As I mentioned about the lovely people that are there, specifically on the island we were at, they were so thankful to see the return of travel to the island, of course. And I always make it a point when I vacation or go anywhere to learn some of the language. And so Shukaria means thank you, and Dani means goodbye. So we were constantly talking with the servers at our resort, and these particular servers were the same for morning, breakfast, and evening. So we got to know them all pretty well. And so they would teach us different words while we were visiting with them. As far as money is concerned, let me just go back to that slide. Um, they do have their own currency in the Maldives, but because it's such a huge tourist destination, you really don't need to take much, if any, local currency. You definitely can take singles and fives and things like that for tipping, which is obviously appreciated. But most take the credit cards and things. So you won't have to worry about exchanging money necessarily before you go, unless you really want to exchange and have some of the local currency. They also obviously take the euro as well as the dollar. And the number one tourist country that comes into the Maldives is actually the Brits from England. And then second is the United States as far as the number of tourism from a specific country. And then the third are the Japanese and people from China, actually. So because of the location, it's easy for them to get to. So when you're trying to figure out which island should I go to, there's 130 of them. So there's quite a few choices. And depending on your budget and what type of accommodations you want, there's a mid range from around 500 to 600 a night, and it can go all the way up to 2,500 a night. So just depending on if you want that overwater bungalow feel, or if you're okay with a beach hut on the actual beach, that's going to help decide which particular island might work best for you. The island we chose was the Ke Lankanfushi, which is where Gili Lankanfushi is. And it's a boutique style resort and spa that has only 45 over water bungalows. So there isn't any um, accommodations that wouldn't be over the water. And they have different classes of rooms and things. So we're going to take a look at those in a little bit here. So that's just some information specifically about budgets and what islands are available. The other thing that's important when you go to the Maldives is that it's not like going to the Caribbean, like Jamaica, where you're going to see a lot of all inclusives. They do provide what they call half board or full board accommodations, but what the board stands for is basically your meals. Drinks are typically separate and aren't part of the package. So if you have like a half board package that you put with your room accommodations, you'll be getting breakfast and dinner, and then lunches on your own, whether you decide to have it or not. And then that would be a something that you would have to budget to purchase while you're at the resort. And so here's some of the lovely food that we had while we were there. Every morning, we would have the cappuccinos or a cafe americano along with different types of sweetbreads. The food that is there is very much brought in through all the different cultures in the Maldivian people. So you have different types of breakfast foods from that are influenced by Thailand or the Sri Lankans or India. So in the morning, you don't always have eggs, but you definitely can. Obviously, they cater to the American breakfast, which you see there. But we would also have this wonderful fruit that they would bring in from Thailand. So we would have all different kinds of things that we would normally never have an opportunity to try here in the States. Something called a mangosteen. And a mangosteen is the closest thing I can compare it to would be like a small orange that is in a hard shell that they actually have to cut the shell open. Not quite as hard as a coconut, but almost. And then, of course, the mangoes that you see on the plate there that Chris had next to him were specifically from Thailand too. So it was a different type of mango, and it was just fabulous. It was just a great food. Here you see the mangosteen that I talked about, which is that hard shell, and then like the inside was really soft, like an orange. And so again, these are all different types of fruit that you would find in, an Asian market, quite frankly. So every morning I would try something different and something new. We also did a wine dinner while we were there. So obviously the food is a main focus for me. I'm a foodie. And so we did some pairings and some wine with the underground cellar that Gili Lankan specifically has, and it was lovely. They're a sustainable resort, and so they grow all their own food, and they bring in obviously the meats and the seafoods. They'll get the seafood from the local fish uh, markets from the area. But as far as the salads and all the different ingredients that they would use to go along with the protein, they grew it right there on the property. So it was lovely for us to get a chance to actually see the food that was being prepared for us that day. And then also when you look at the picture here, you'll see up on the middle left, there's a little area where you actually could have lunch, where they would bring the lunch to you up in that area and you could eat in the garden. We obviously were there for an anniversary, and it's a very romantic place, and our butler every day would do something special for us. And so it was truly magical for us because we never knew what little surprise was going to happen next. And one of the evenings prior to us having dinner, he brought us to this little part of the island. And because there's only 45 bungalows on the entire island, you really feel like you're the only one on the island. Not that you won't see an occasional guest here or there, but when we were there specifically at the end of October, they were only at 20% occupancy. So that was about 10 guests total. So it was 5 couples roughly that were there. So again, it was just a wonderful experience for us. And on a lot of the resorts, they have the ability for you to do one of these sailboat type experiences. This is called a doni. And you can hop on one of these right around the dusk time for sunsets and actually watch a sunset from this small little boat called a doni. And it was a wonderful little activity that we got to do that was part of the resort. So it's not like it cost us anything extra. This is just some of the things that they provide as far as activities are concerned while you're on the island. And this is the famous hammock in the water that lots of people see and go, I want to go there someday. So I had to take a picture. And then we did do a dolphin cruise. And while we were on the dolphin cruise, we got to see not only the spinner dolphins, but we got to see one with their baby. And I'm going to pull up a little bit of footage for you guys to see that. And while we were there, they also had in the distance, they spotted one of these whales, shark whale with the calf, with the actual mother with her calf. So that was a wonderful experience that we got to see. One of the other things that we took advantage of while we were at the resort was breakfast in our room. And they actually had what was called a floating breakfast. Because our particular over water bungalow, we chose to have a pool in as well. And so they brought this little breakfast to us, and we sat on the little steps and had breakfast in the pool one morning. All right, so now I'm going to see if I can pull up some of these videos real quick. And hopefully you'll be able to see those. And so now, here we go. Our dolphin. The dolphins would come right alongside the boat. They like to ride waves come out of the back of the speedboat. And so whenever there's people coming for the sunset cruises, they'll actually come around. Did you get them along the boat?
Yeah, I'm taking video right now.
Wait.
Oh.
Maybe.
Wait.
뭐야? ada ko reala jata peruni ma dekh ke
Oh, the baby.
Yeah, there was a baby with it. Oh, look at that. Oh, did you get that?
Yeah, I got video.
We didn't get a chance to edit a lot of these yet, so I'm just gonna pop in and share a few of them. Let me see. So that was the dolphin video. Let me see about pulling up the other one. This is the island that we were on. And one of the things, let me get this shared out. One of the things that we got to see a lot was a lot of marine life from our actual resort room. And they had these little bikes that we got to ride all over the resort. So this is just the resort itself that I'm sharing. So hopefully you guys can see that. And the water would come in, obviously the tide would come in during the morning and then go out. And you would see all different kinds of marine life. The snorkeling on this coral reef area was just fantastic. We snorkeled every single day. So it's just beautiful. And as I mentioned, this particular resort only has 45 of these, and a few of them, I think 9 of them, have pools for you. So there's that. Let me share. I have one of from the, we actually went on a manta ray trip as well and saw manta ray, which was one of the highlights. So let me find that for you. Hopefully. Bear with me. Here we go. I'm not sure if you can hear that little clip, 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 clip sound, but that's the plankton that the manta ray come in, and it's always during a full moon that they'll come close to the island. And so we went that very next day from the full moon. And because all the plankton were in the whole area with the water, we were able to see quite a few of the manta ray. It was just, it was breathtaking. So they were just, a lot of them were, would swim right up and do like a figure 8 or a circle around, so that we could see them really, really well. And it was about a 25-minute boat ride, I would say, from our resort. And again, this was part of the package that we had when we were there. But you can see how big they are and how close they got. And then I also have one more video that I'm going to share with the GoPro that we did. So let me just get that up. And these were some of this was a shark that we had seen in some of the fish. So let me just pull that up really quick. All right. And the coral reef area had unfortunately gotten bleached back in 2016. You may or may not have heard about the that occurred. And unfortunately, what happened in the Maldives, because they're always between 77 and 85 degrees, being right on the equator, it got too hot. And a lot of the coral actually died all around the Maldivian country. So the Maldives is in the process of growing coral, and I don't want to say reforesting, but recoralling the areas. And so while we were there, we got an opportunity to work with the marine biologist and actually dive under and see where they start the little baby coral on ropes to keep the fish and things from eating it. And then they actually go back and place it. And that's what some of these coral areas that you see here are actually been replaced for that, for the where the coral had died out. But again, it was just it was like everywhere you looked, it was postcard picturesque. So it was just absolutely beautiful. All right, so now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and find out if you guys have any questions that I can answer for you. If you want to go ahead and just put any questions in the chat box, I'll be happy to answer them for those of you that are still with us this evening. Okay. Well, again, I think I shared some of the major times of year for when a good time to go is, and I tried to give you guys some information about a lot of the activities. Mark just put in the chat box, are there activities outside of the resort? And the answer is yes, there normally is. In fact, when I travel, I like to go to a couple of different places in the country that I'm actually visiting. But specifically on my vacation, because of the COVID restrictions, you couldn't leave your resort and go to another resort unless you were staying at the resort. So usually what happens is there's a few different things I would recommend that you do in Mali, which is the large island where the majority of the Maldivians live. You can go there and experience, some of the street culture and some of the food things there. And they also have some hotels directly on Mali. Or you can go from one resort to another and do different jet skis, for example. Because I was on a resort that is a sustainable resort, like for example, I'll show you, I had a bag that we put all of our stuff in. It says, help us save paradise. Please carry home with you sprays, cans, plastic bottles, batteries, all that kind of stuff. So they were a more sustainable type resort. So they didn't allow jet skis on the property. So if you want to do jet skiing or motor type things like that, you'd have to go to a neighboring island. For that kind of activity. The other things that you can do on the resort that I didn't show pictures of, is paddleboarding and kayaking, and you can take little dinghy type boats out too, and kind of cruise around the area. So there are quite a few other activities that you can do, but most of them are water type activities, as you can imagine. So unless you're a foodie like me, and then there's all these different kind of food experiences that you can do. We did Battle of the Bartender, for example, and one of the things they did is they had two different bartenders putting together their famous um, different cocktails that they would serve in the evening bar at night. So lots of fun stuff. You can do cooking classes and things like that too. And then I didn't mention the spa. I should have ginned up a few pictures, but I wasn't sure how much time I was going to have. But the spa was fantastic. If you're into wellness, you do yoga, or even if you just love having massages, um, the spa areas in all the resorts are just simply fantastic. And I think we had 3 massages while we were there. So, all right. Any other questions? Well, I appreciate everyone hopping on this evening. And those of you who are looking for another trip next week, we will be going to Germany. We actually got that rescheduled for next Tuesday, and then we're going to put out a list of some other destinations and some more interactive ones for the month of January. So I appreciate everyone signing on this evening, and hopefully you enjoyed seeing some of the wonderful things that are in another part halfway around the world. So have a good evening, everybody. Thank you.